Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone is doing amazing. I was thinking about today's hangout and I was excited to see a good few responses. So I hope our responses come on. Uh, there was a lot of requests around, specific problems and different things that were going on in practices. And a lot of where these were curated from was actually us just getting on Zoom together, spending like 30 minutes a week and talking about different things. And the importance to that is that, it's just a feedback flow of around things and you never know where it's going to take you. In our skill community on Friday, it was nice to see a lot of some of our more seasoned owners, with owners that are kind of like more growing and at a seeding level, really start to work together with each other, and overall just enjoy the content, which obviously is a great thing, is part of why we're here. Uh, so, today's topic that I prepared for today is breaking the avoidance cycle in your practice. It's really talked about like doubt, um, and a lot of the common things is more about like doubt and kind of like what's eating at you emotionally, physically, mentally, like all of those things. And I was thinking about this a lot when I was deciding which topic. And, you know, avoidance is a big thing, and I happen to really see it lately a lot more with clients. They think it's like tax problems, they think it's money problems, but it's simply the fact that when we avoid things, it becomes a bigger problem. So, okay, I always get confused. So, what does avoidance, why does avoidance feel so safe? Your brain believes it's protecting you, but avoidance is a temporary emotional relief. So, ever have like a past boyfriend or like somebody who you were in a fight with, and you kind of wanted to like get them back with what they said something, but it only really feels good in the moment. And then chances are you feel ugly after, or it doesn't feel too good when you kind of like gave it back to them. And the problem is still there. So the consequences of avoiding things in business is really the same thing. It's like how we do one thing is how we do another. So what does avoidance really matter with financial items? Like, is it a trigger? Is it the trigger? Is it a financial crisis? So here are the things that we saw: delayed decisions, missed payments, no cash flow visibility, panic responses instead of strategy, ghosting, spiraling, and shutting down. We were reviewing internally, like our clients that have been with us for a while, that were less seasoned and more seasoned now and growing, at all the different levels. And sometimes clients come in and they want to do one thing, but they really need another. And we really started to look at it. And it was really, really cool to see the differences of where people were at and growing. Like I even got to learn myself. And it really came down into is that we actually have a client right now who's really just, she didn't realize the depth of her growth with everything that was happening, which led into delaying decisions. Not all of this, but her cash flow visibility to her, which was a real, real problem. And she's definitely in the panic responses of around strategy because her body and her nervous system really just didn't acclimate to the growth of where she is. Multiple locations, a huge staff, they bought buildings to support it. So lots of times what happens is that we make decisions because it's for taxes or, it saves us money. However, you still have this life to manage. And I'll tell you a personal story. So, and some of you may heard versions of this before, but, where it's relevant here. So, about a year and a half ago, I moved to New Jersey, and uh, the house that I own there, I put in as a rental. And, now where we live now is also a rental. So I have it, I'm a landlord there. I'm a landlord there. And then over here, I have this role as a tenant. So it's like two completely different roles. And basically managing two different houses is a lot. And I say this to say my goal was so that my daughter can go to school. and not be in the dorms. I didn't really, I had idea around the rentals and all of these things, but it didn't really put me through the depth of like a lot of all the things that could go wrong. I didn't really care. But where I'm saying this is that when we don't think through things and these come in, it ends up hitting in terms of financial. In my case, around it, what ended up happening was I have a landlord in the rental who really is not doing the landlord part. And because I know how to do these things, I was end up doing it, which we're moving on to next steps, which I'll share in a few weeks once we're past that, because it's going to happen pretty shortly. So, when you don't have the cash flow visibility, you can't do the things, let's say the things that I'm explaining to you or this other client. You're going to end up having more panic responses instead of strategy. And one of the biggest things lately I keep seeing, and sometimes I say that too much, is the ghosting, the spiraling, and the shutting down. So here's an example. A therapist delayed signing her contract for weeks, not because she didn't want the help, but because seeing the numbers triggered money shame. So it had nothing to do with us. It was really just something that it was under core. And the avoidance one temporarily. I was actually also talking about this with a team member this morning, is that when clients write us emails, we have to look deeper into them and seeing what it's really about. It's never really about what they're saying. It's more about the deeper issue of kind of like what they're avoiding. And I say this to say is that it's not making you wrong or bad or not human that you need to know and should know. What matters is like it's just where you are right now. So here are the common questions I get about avoidance. Why do I freeze the second I open QuickBooks, even when I know nothing is bad in there? Why do I shut down and stop and stop replying to my account as soon as they ask for documents or clarifications? This one you have to realize on the receiving end when you need those documents, it's really rough because then you get delayed on your work and you want to do it on time. I haven't touched my books in 4 to 6 months. What's the first thing I should do when everything feels like a disaster? One thing at a time. How can I make my weekly routine feel calmer? I get activated just seeing receipts and transactions. How do I know what to keep doing myself versus what to hand off? So, number 5, what to hand off and what to keep. I actually want to start there. If something makes you nervous, that nervous to outsource, sit with yourself and ask why. I wouldn't necessarily run to do something that makes you that panicked, but I would have a conversation with the person who you are outsourcing to. I would love to. And kind of have like a give and take, like over time. I do that with clients when they're used to doing a lot or they're coming from like a DIY to outsource so that they don't lose control. And your business is your baby, and we want to keep it that way. Keeping your routine calmer is just keeping the routine. Like, I kind of just want to even jump in and answer these if you're sitting with any of these. It's calmer because you actually do it. It's calmer because you're accepting what happened. You're not judging what happened. You're not looking at the practice with the shoulda, coulda, woulda eyes and why didn't it. You're accepting where you are because that's going to be your keys and clues for your next steps. How to break the avoidance. Small doable actions to make numbers feel less threatening. So create a 10-minute weekly rhythm. Chances are it's going to be longer, but at least. Use one neutral zone tool, meaning like credit card statements, bank feed. Focus only on the next touch point, not the whole pile, right? So just do one thing. Make the needle move forward. Focus only on the next time. Okay, we did that one. Anchor tasks to something already in your return. Celebrate completion and not perfection. I'll be honest with you, I was struggling around this, wanting perfection on something that I'm working on. And I brought it to one of my mentors, and she said right back to me, and she said, celebrate where you are in terms of progress. So we really have to start to think about where is it all coming from and take the end result, and we just work backwards. How to make the numbers feel emotionally safe. Take the shame out of the task. Treat bookkeeping like self-care for your business. Use grounding cues like a timer, playlist, a ritual. I'll be honest with you, I was doing my own bookkeeping lately, and it was the last thing I wanted to do. And I share stories a lot around how my team does it for me and all of these things. But lately, I've been feeling called to do it myself. And because I'm making this next big shift, I'm buying another house. I'll share it today. Is that I wanted to take back ownership of everything and do it myself. Now, it's not going to stay that way, I assure you that. But what I will say this is that being able to shift off like that, to understand myself, it's a very empowering task. So it's kind of like go in and go out. Ask for partnership where you're needed. So that's basically what happened to me. Replace fear with clarity on small data and a calm mind. So a lot of people would think because I'm tax and a CFO, everything around money is like all hunky dory and there's no problems and all of those things. But I've been there and there's times that I'm there. And you can only imagine with taking on another property how that is. And as exciting as it is, there's still inside me, did I plan enough? Did I plan right? And it really comes down into the structure of how to keep everything because both houses, I also have some other assets and things in the business. And what happens is that over time is that things have to happen on a more automated way in order to keep up. And it's the same thing in business, right? Like, for instance, in our business, in the accounting side and tax, we have reminders that go out automatically. It's set up through our queues and checklists and how clients respond to it. So it's taught when you're on board. And what ended up happening was is that it saved us a lot of time because at first we were doing those things manually. The fact is you can break the avoidance cycle and build a financial system that feels safe. And that's exactly what I was explaining to you. I'm actually going to tell you another story. So, after my divorce, I was trying to figure out what was better for me in terms of like how to pay expenses and keeping up with things. So I stopped credit card. And with stopping credit card, what ended up happening was is that uh, you know, how am I going to pay my expenses now, right? Is it just on cash flow? Do I need credit card? Like all of these different things. I couldn't take it having a big bill at the end of the month. I didn't want that. I didn't want the extra cash flow issues. So I always pay my credit card early. Now, when I when I was saying how I paid the credit card early, meaning that if I had to, I paid the same day or that week. And I'm mainly built on cash flow. I don't really use credit cards in order to do the things. I basically build my systems so that I can pay things and that the bill is done. I don't accrue things. Why? Because it wasn't making my nervous system feel safe and I wasn't getting to my goals. And also being a self-independent woman, and having obligations and all of these things to get to these levels, help other people, spend the time, you got to figure out what works. And I'm not saying I'm anti-credit card and that it may not work. You can use the credit card more and not pay off of cash flow. But sometimes you just need to do that to put the stronger brakes around things. But what makes you feel okay? Let's face the numbers. Let's ease the overwhelm and build a more confident practice. I invite you to book a call with me. And on this call, we have fun. Let me just tell you, I just want to talk about it a few minutes, is that there's no pressure to come on. But I invite you to take the step, especially at year end, to come on. I'll tell you why. Because at least you know what to do. And if you're not ready for an outsource at all, I want you to come and join our school community. I made that pretty affordable. It's $199 a year. There's some paid assets in there that are pretty useful, but I would say at least coming into the community, we have a great guest speaker tomorrow. I hope you guys can come and join. And if you need the link, please tag us and we'll send you that. But I say this to say the more you hang out around your practice, the easier this comes. And these topics come from my calls, they come from working with clients over the past 25 years and what works for myself. And when, even if you're in a place where you make less money and let's say the fees are not as doable for you, I'll be honest with you, having somebody who can lead you is basically where you're going to outbeat that formula. And yes, indirectly, I'm saying a little bit overspend because you choose where you spend, you choose what you do with your money. And if we were to go back to the beginning of what we're talking about, making avoidance feel safe, what are you avoiding? Are you just running to be on extension? Does your brain believe that you're really protecting yourself, or are you just trying to stay comfortable? Chances are it's kind of like this battle of what's happening is that it's probably saying, oh no, keep doing this. You're doing it good. And on the other side, it's kind of like, what do you mean it's doing good? Because all of these negative things are happening that are like kind of fighting each other. And I'm sure you heard versions of this, like your younger self to your higher self, whatever floats your boat. But it's important to listen within and to calm the noise so that you do feel safe around money and that the triggers, don't move into letting you win. And, if you think about these questions that were asked and how to break the avoidance cycle, maybe there's something you're doing. Let's add to this list. This is a very simple and chic list. And, I'll close this and say, our avoidance cycle could be anywhere in life. And that's not what we want to do. And sometimes it's not the time to do things, granted. But when it comes to the practice that you chose to be in private practice, you can't avoid. I'm going to actually close with another story. So, this other client that we were working on this week, uh, we were talking about because they have a soul, they have an S, and all these things, and one of the partners was like, "Can I just deposit the money now in the other company if that's really where it should be?" And I said, "If the 1099, like the year-end form, matches where the money you want to deposit it, then you can. But a big problem is that the year-end forms is always mixed up between the independent contractor and the actual entity. So if that stuff is not set up right, I highly encourage you to set up a call. And I think my cyber specials are still out. And I would say even for that paid call, take it because it's 50 off. And I don't usually give those calls 50 off, but I'm more than grateful and more than happy to for a little while longer to keep those specials out. A lot happens on those calls. They're really comprehensive, but they go at the pace of what you need and how to elevate you and give you tasks ahead so that you have a lot of information. So that concludes today. As always, any questions, let me know. Let me know your feedback around today, what you think, how you take all of this, and I cannot wait to talk to you more. And those of you who are responding to the events, please come in Zoom. That was the goal of sharing the link, and I cannot wait to talk to you all. Talk soon, and I will see you next week.